Excellent. Okay, Marina, thank you very much for being with me today. Thank you for accepting the invitation to be interviewed for my channel here on YouTube and to help future crew members, most importantly, to achieve their dream. So Marina is talking to us today from London.
So for 3 years, I was a member of the Gatwick crew for British Airways, and I did that job in London, and I was based in Gatwick, at the airport in Gatwick.
Excellent. Thank you, Marina. And may I ask you, please, why did you choose to become a cabin crew member? What was it about it that you thought, okay, let's become a cabin crew member?
Well, from very early on, I was exposed to a lot of travel and a lot of visiting family abroad. And a few of my family members have a deep passion for aviation. So it's been something that's run in the family for a long time. And then in 2010, when I finished my time in university, I decided that I didn't want to carry on studying. And the prospects of finding a job in Barcelona in Spain were not great at the time. So I thought, you know what, let's have an adventure and see what's out there. And that's when I decided to apply.
Excellent. And Marina, let me ask you, before you did apply to British Airways, did you apply to any other airlines as well, or was this your first shot?
Yeah, so obviously when I decided that I wanted to embrace the cabin crew and start applying, I looked first at what was available in Spain. And at the time, Qatar Airways was doing some day assessments in Barcelona, in my hometown. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to see what that was about, what was the process like, and maybe be successful and ensure a job with them. So I did that. I applied for Qatar Airways and I got invited to the assessment day, and it was a fantastic experience. It was my first time in experiencing a full day assessment. It was long, it was tiring, but it allowed me to get myself out there and test my interview skills and my communication skills as well. I was lucky. I was successful. I was offered a job in Qatar, but that at the time meant moving to Doha. So it was a bit too much of an adventure to start.
Right. Okay.
So,
fair enough.
I thought, you know what, I can do this. Let's see what else I can do. So British Airways started the recruitment process in 2011. And I decided to apply. This was the recruitment process for mixed fleet. And, that's when I started looking online, and I saw that the recruitment process was open. So I gave it a shot.
Excellent, Marina. And please, if you were so kind, I would love you to tell the audience, especially for those are looking into applying perhaps in a future whenever things are getting better. Of course, right now we're living through difficult times in aviation, as with many other industries, unfortunately. But things will pick up for sure sooner or later. Let's stay positive about it.
Yes.
And so may I ask you, please, so you could help these thousands or millions of people who are right now sitting at their home thinking, I want to be flying for British Airways in the near future. How was the British Airways recruitment? So how was the process? How did it work? Was it tough? Was it easy? Was it difficult? Could you please tell us about your experience with them, please?
Sure, yes. So any assessment, any interview, any recruitment process is hard work. It requires a lot of dedication, and it requires to understand why you're doing it and who you're applying for. In my case, when I applied at British Airways, the first step was a written assessment. It had a couple of questions asking why did you want to become a cabin crew member? Why did you think you were the right person to apply? And you had to kind of like do a little essay on why you want it. And I know that they were looking for specific words, or specific sentences in there that would show that that person was indeed the right fit for the company and for the job. That took about at that time the recruitment process was quite quick, so I think it took about a month from sending it to getting the good news that it had been successful and that they wanted me to be present in a full assessment day in Heathrow.
Excellent.
So I had to then book a ticket to Heathrow and attend that assessment day.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember it was an early start. Probably you were called in about 8 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
You had to go in your full smart clothing. There was no reference to the hair for ladies at the time, but I know some other companies will require that you wear your hair tied back for the recruitment, for the assessment day. And then you were joined in by all of the other applicants, and then you could start talking and sharing, and it's like you basically do a bit of small talk amongst the other applicants.
Mm-hmm.
When that was done, then we were invited for a brief presentation with the interviewees and the recruitment. There was recruitment crew and there were cabin crew. There were actual flying cabin crew that were recruiting us, which gave me the sense that they knew what they were looking for. So it was the professionals that I was to be in the future sharing my responsibilities with them. That would be who was interviewing me. So then we got given a brief presentation about what the job was like. We were always invited to ask questions, and it was made very clear from the beginning that it was a two-way assessment. It was the time for British Airways to assess if we were the right people, and also for us to assess if that was the right job for us. So,
and that's very important, Marina. Yes, that's very important.
It is, because this job, is like no other job out there. So it is important that when you make the decision that you want to join in, that you do it knowing exactly what you're getting into.
Exactly, absolutely. I do agree with you.
Yes. So that followed on from we had a practical test, a multiple choice test to just check, literacy and numeric skills. Nothing too hard. Just something, basic numeracy and literacy skills, which you would need for that job anyway.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then we did a group dynamic, and that was they would split us in groups of 4 or 5. They would present us with a scenario. I think I remember mine was that we had to come up with a new uniform for the cabin crew.
Right.
So we would have to design budgets and and type of fabric and delivery times, and it was all fictitious.
Yes.
But it was about how we were interacting with each other, and maybe you were talking too much or maybe you were talking too little. So the assessors were like around you, making notes and taking notice of different things that were going on around the room, and how did you interact in that dynamic. And then we did a role play. This was an individual role play with another assessor, another interviewer, and it was about managing a difficult customer and how would you interact. And obviously it was checking, are you someone who is very quick to react, or are you someone who's calm and collected and can explain, or are you someone who becomes very shy when presented with a difficult situation. And then the day finished with the hardest a personal interview, and that was 2-1. So there was 2 people in the room taking notes and asking questions, and that would be any traditional questions that go on in an interview about why do you want the job, what can you give us, explain a time when you've had to receive bad feedback, how have you managed difficult times in your professional career, all of these things, and basically what they were looking for was your personality. Are you someone who shines? Are you someone who needs a lot of encouragement to talk, and they were making sure that you were the right fit. And that was it. That was finished. Then I go back to Barcelona, and probably a couple of weeks later, I received the call that I had been successful.
Excellent. Thank you, Marina. Just talking about your last bit of your assessment with British Airways, you were talking about the most tough one, perhaps the personal interview, the 2-to-1, no? So a panel interview, as they're usually called. And of course, these are the type of interviews that usually in all airlines, or in most of them, this is what we call them, or what it's known as behavioral interviews. And a little tip for everyone out there that is watching us right now is to always give an answer to those questions with the STAR technique. So situation, task, action, and result. Yeah, so these are the type of questions. Correct me if I'm wrong. So you perhaps were asked about, tell us about a situation when you had to handle these, or this happened to you, or you had to get feedback, as you were saying, from other colleagues. And so if we use the STAR technique, usually perhaps it's easier for us to structure the way in which we answer. So this way we don't get lost with things, and especially you're nervous, of course. We're all nervous when we go through these type of interviews. Excellent. So yeah, that was just a little tip for the audience. Yeah,
you make a good point, Victor, is that you cannot go to these assessments without preparation.
Unprepared, of course not.
You must, get your techniques. You must practice. You must, even if it feels almost like you're acting. You're not acting. You're just preparing yourself for a situation that is not normal. To be in that panel interview style is quite. It can be a bit daunting, especially if you haven't done many interviews. So prepare yourself. Don't be afraid to, go over your answers over and over again, so you're sure of what you're saying, because then your sense of self and the confidence in yourself will shine through, and that's what the interviewees want to see.
Exactly. Thank you. Excellent, Marina. So then you got the fantastic news. You've been successful. You've made it through the assessment. Let me ask you something, please. Was there a lot of you in the assessment? So are we talking about how many interviewees did you encounter on your day? Can you remember roughly, approximately, how many of you were there, and how many of you were actually made it through to the training process?
I am not sure of how many we made it through, because you don't really keep in touch with
everyone, of course.
With everyone. But on the day, it was about 15 of us in that assessment day. And I know that at the time, British Airways was heavily recruiting. So they would have 15, probably every day
perhaps for 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. So they would just go in and do a massive recruitment and then start the training.
Great. So well done, you, Marina.
Excellent.
You. Okay, Marina. So please, so you got the amazing news that you were successful, as we were saying. At that time, you were back in Barcelona, if not mistaken, as you said. So now I presume British Airways is inviting you to a training program. So could you tell us, what was the whole training about, and was the training what you were actually expecting about becoming cabin crew, or were there a few bits that you said, I never knew you were actually had to be trained on these specific subjects in order to carry out the job to the best of your abilities, of course, and with the standards, the high standards, I presume, that British Airways sets for their cabin crew?
Yes, 100%. Standards in aviation and for British Airways in particular are always very high. So I remember vividly, I was back in Barcelona, and I remember vividly getting my training pack. And this was like loads of information, things to prepare, online courses to do before the 6 weeks intensive in-person training that were waiting for me in the UK. So I had a time of preparation, and then I moved to the UK, and then I started the 6 weeks of training. And that time was it was like going back to school. It was very intense. We had a combination of safety, first aid, emergency procedures, simulations, customer experience, customer service training. We had daily tests. We had multiple, role plays, and it was just going to school. And you were with your training group and your promotion, so we all became very close because you were together all that time. And for me, because I was based in Gatwick, we did some of the training in Gatwick, and then we also got put in a hotel in Heathrow, because that's where British Airways have their training facilities, their simulation, their slides,
the Cranebank Centre,
exactly.
Cranebank, the Aviation Academy, the BA Aviation Training Academy,
which is a massive hangar, like full of old style aircrafts, pieces of equipment, mock-up cabins, and and we did fire training, we did even terrorism training, what to do in the event. So
security, absolutely.
It was great fun, but very intense. And obviously at the end of the day, you would have a test on what you were doing, so you would have to practice. So it wasn't like, oh, let's go back to the hotel room, or let's go back to our house and let's have a party. And no, it was all about study.
Quite intense.
Very intense.
I presume, Marina, that if you were not performing very well during the training, perhaps some people would be invited to leave, right? So this is very important to the audience, because sometimes you think, oh, wow, I've passed the whole recruitment process, the assessment, open days, etc. However they call them in every airline. Sometimes they give them different names. But after all, you still need to go through a very intensive safety training, and as you were saying, many other subjects you must control. And if not, I believe there were people that were perhaps underperforming, and then you are asked to leave the company. So the fact that you're actually joining an airline training does not guarantee the job at the end of the day, right?
It's very clear in your contract that the terms and conditions of your contract are subject to you being successful in your training. So you must, there's a minimum that you must achieve, and they keep a close eye. The good thing is that we were chaperoned by 3 wonderful cabin crew members from active cabin crew members who would deliver some of the training, and they would be there for you. If you were struggling with one of the subjects, if you had maybe failed one of the tests, there was always an opportunity to go back and reflect and try again. Obviously, if this was reoccurring a lot, then maybe it wasn't the right thing for you. So again, the training, the same as in the interview, is a chance for both the company and the applicant to really come to terms with what it is to be a cabin crew, and is it the right thing for you.
Exactly. Thank you. Excellent. So, Marina, you passed the wonderful training. And so could you please tell us which planes were you qualified to operate on, and where were you flying to?
Well, I was flying all over the place. As I said, we were mixed fleet in Gatwick, and that means that...
Sorry, Marina, to stop you there. What is mixed fleet for those that may not be really familiar with the airline terminology? What do we mean by mixed fleet?
So in traditional airlines style, or division of jobs in airlines, traditionally cabin crew would do either short haul, mid haul, or long haul, and you would only keep to that type of aircraft and those destinations. British Airways, with the introduction of mixed fleet, what it allowed is for one cabin crew to be able to do multiple fleets, so multiple hauls. So one day you would be flying to Manchester, and the next day you would be doing a 3-day Bermuda, and then have your days off, and maybe you would go to Sharm el Sheikh, and then it was all like you wouldn't be limited, which meant that I was holding licenses for 3 types of aircraft. So 777, which is a long haul aircraft.
Wonderful plane.
Wonderful plane. And yes, beautiful plane. A bit old, but beautiful. Then we had a 737, which was also, an oldie in the fleet. And then we had some newer Airbuses, and those were short haul and mid haul Airbuses. So there was the 390, 320, and 321. The thing with Airbus is with one license for Airbus, you can fly multiple Airbuses.
Pretty much all of them. Yeah.
Pretty much all of them because of the way they're designed. So yeah, 3 different aircrafts. You would be flying. In a week you would be flying one type, and then the next day would be another type, and then and then a long haul type. So you would have to always be very fresh on where is all the equipment, what are your responsibilities. Mm-hmm. So it's a constant learning and a constant testing of the skills and the knowledge that you've acquired in training.
Excellent. Thanks, Marina. Right. So, Marina, what did you like and dislike the most about the job? I believe, as with any other job, although I think that the cabin crew world is something that you only do if you love it. I don't think you either hate it or love it. I don't think there's a middle term for a cabin crew, for the cabin crew job. But so there's always something perhaps we don't like that much. So based on your experience, what was it that you like and disliked the most?
We had a running joke amongst the crew, which is that this job you would absolutely love for 3 months and then absolutely dislike for the next 3. Right. And it will be a cycle. And some days you would be like, oh, why am I doing this? And the next trip, the next roster, you'll be like, why would I be anywhere else? This is fantastic. So it's definitely a roller coaster of emotions. But what I liked the most was the variety. I loved, the variety of crew that I was working with, the variety of destinations, the variety of passengers that I was meeting every single flight. And it was just so nice to essentially do the same job, but in a different environment all the time. So I found that was very engaging and very stimulating. It was very nice. I obviously loved, being in the beach in Mauritius,
right?
And then the next week being in Universal Studios in Florida, and then being in, doing 3 Amsterdams and back in one go in one day, and being absolutely exhausted at the end of the day. So it was the of it was the best for me, absolutely. The things that I didn't like them so much were, you do miss out on family occasions when you're flying around the world. Mm-hmm. Aviation doesn't know holidays, doesn't know about family celebrations, doesn't know about weekends, doesn't even know about nighttime and daytime. Right. So you have to embrace it. You have to give yourself to it, and you have to sometimes say, I'm sorry, I can't be there for Christmas, or I'm sorry, I can't be there for this special event. There are ways to manage that, and there's always other occasions that you can be in. But it's sometimes hard for other family members to accept that you may not be able to be there all the time.
Absolutely.
But so that was the a little bit the hardest. Another thing would be the roster and the fact that you would only know where you were going a month in advance. So you couldn't. Right. You could plan, but you couldn't plan very far ahead. So, that added to the pressure of trying to combine family life and aviation. But it was worth it.
We get used to it.
Yes, you do. You get used to it.
Excellent. Thank you, Marina. Well, we're almost reaching the end of this lovely interview with you, Marina. And so please, may I ask you, for the lovely audience that is watching this video or is watching us, is there any advice that you would personally like to give to future crew members right now?
It's a very tough time at the moment. So my thoughts are for those people who are either looking for jobs or being made redundant from their aviation jobs and looking for other opportunities. But for those who are, I would say, just embrace it. Embrace the lifestyle. Embrace what aviation and being a cabin crew gives you, and the opportunities that you're going to find yourself in, because it's hard. It's sometimes it's sometimes a bit, there's a lot of routine to it, and it may look a bit boring. It might be, you might not feel up for it, but it is the most amazing job that you'll ever do. Just embrace it. I would also say, if you're like me, if you have to move abroad to pursue your dream, make sure that you save and that you're financially able to commit to the training and the first months of cabin crew, because the salaries, as we know, are tight
and the highest.
I think you mentioned in one of your videos, no one becomes a cabin crew member to be a millionaire.
Exactly. Absolutely not.
No. So make sure that you can financially support yourself, because you don't want to be not able to do anything when you're at home because the money is not stretching that far. So make sure you have that little financial security there. And most important of all, always look after your health, mental health and physical health. It's a very stretching job. It demands a lot of you, physical health. You're pushing and pulling and constantly on your feet. You're not resting, you're not eating properly. So it's important that you make a commitment to your health at the beginning of your aviation career, and make sure that you maintain it throughout. It's very easy to just, eat chicken or beef every day. So it's important to make sure that you look after yourself.
Excellent. Thank you, Marina. And just to conclude very briefly, just to make it clear to the audience, you're not flying anymore for British Airways?
No, I'm not. I was sad to let go of that dream after 3 years of flying. However, I am still closely linked to the aviation and the travel industry. I now work for a major, the biggest tour operator in Europe.
Great.
And I'm now in the field of accessibility and making sure that those lovely destinations, those lovely flights, holidays are accessible to everyone, regardless of their ability. So I've managed to keep in the industry, which I absolutely love, and hopefully it's an industry that will bounce back from this situation that we are now.
Hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Absolutely. I'm sure it will. Excellent. Well, Marina, we are exceeding the timings there for the video. It was lovely talking to you, and I do thank you once again for taking the time. Preparing these interviews remotely sometimes isn't easy, but listen, to any problem we encounter, we must always be able to solve it. So thank you very much for your time. And thank you for accepting again the invitation to be interviewed for my YouTube channel. And I wish you every success in the future, Marina.
Thank you very much, Victor. It's been a pleasure. Take care.
Stay safe. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.